So when you are ready to process a sample here, what you want to do is make sure that the Clinitech machine is on, and the way you know that is there will be words scrolling across the top here, so that's how you know it's ready to go. Okay, and the urine test table, this black test table, will be out in the out position. First, you want to just take your sample, and you have a pen and the paperwork on the side. Keep it on the side. Gently remove the lid, like so. Okay, it's kind of not a very smooth lid, so you want to gently remove it and keep it on the side like this. Okay, make sure your gloves are dry, and sometimes there's moisture on the cup, so you just want to make sure that your gloves are just really nice and dry. Then you take your bottle of microalbumin test strips, and you're going to open the lid like so. Okay, again, making sure that your gloves are dry. You're going to look for a strip in here and just take one out. Just remove one. After you remove it, you must always close it tight, because in Hawaii we have really humid air, and we don't want any moisture or humidity to get into this bottle, because then it'll affect the chemistries and you may get false readings. So just make sure that you cap this tightly and that no moisture gets in. So cap it again, put it on the side. Okay, then you're going to take your urine sample, and then you're going to fully submerge. You see there are two reagent pads here, so you're going to take the urine dipstick, you're going to fully submerge it in the sample like so. Okay, so the pads are fully submerged. Then you're just going to wipe off the excess like this. You're not going to wipe it with face down, because again that might smear the chemistries. So you can do it sideways, or you can do it with facing up. Another thing you can do is sort of just blot it like this sideways as well on a dry paper towel. Okay. Then you're going to place the dipstick on the Clinitech machine right in the center of the test table like this. Okay. You want to make sure that the dipstick is flat and flush all the way in, because this machine is pretty sensitive. So if it's off kilter a little bit or not all the way in, it might reject it. So you just want to make sure that it's nice and snug in there. Then the next step you're going to do is press either of these green buttons here. They essentially do the same thing, it's just for right or left-handed people. So it doesn't matter which one you press. Press it, and then you're going to see that countdown strip scrolling across the machine here. That's basically how much time you have to make sure everything's on there before it sucks it in to process. After that, it's just going to receive the strip, and then it's going to analyze. It generally takes about 20 to 30 seconds. And the nice thing about this machine is that it's very simple and straightforward. It's essentially what I like to call like a toaster oven. You just put it in, press the button, it receives it, and then it spits it out for you. So it's very straightforward that way. As it's in there, you'll see the words analyzing, and it'll say Clinitech microalbumin. So this also receives other types of test strips like multi-sticks, which tests for red blood cells, white blood cells, and the way it knows which test strip is in there is that it can sense these colors here, and then it'll be able to tell you what kind of strip it's analyzing. When it's done processing, it'll spit the strip out again, and then you'll be receiving a printout that looks kind of like a receipt. Okay, so when you receive this printout, it'll have a space where it says ID number. What you want to do is look at your participant's ID number in the upper right hand corner again, and then you're going to write that ID number right across the top. So in this case it's 001. Okay. You don't rip this out, you just keep it in the machine and you just keep it rolling, because this is like your hard copy. So you just keep this receipt rolling, you don't rip it out. Then what you want to do is look at your paperwork here. Then on the bottom of the form, you're just going to be concerned with microalbumin and albumin to creatinine ratio. Okay, we no longer do red blood cells, white blood cells. So we're just going to focus on microalbuminuria and A to C ratio. So the values that you're going to focus on is the albumin here, which is the top one, and the very bottom one, which is the A to C ratio. You're basically just going to transcribe this number exactly into the form here. So in this case, the albumin reading is 10, and the A to C ratio is less than 30. So you're just going to put the less than sign and 30, and it's going to look like this. One thing to note at this particular station, however, is that if you have a participant that's waiting and approaches you while you are processing the results and they ask you a question, even if you know the answer to it, we suggest that you hold off and recommend that they wait to the end, last station with the exit interviewers, and say that somebody will be there to address their concerns. People tend to misinterpret and may misquote you or say, oh, so-and-so said this. So just in order to avoid that and also to keep the pace of the screening moving along, we just ask that you say, oh, there will be somebody at the end to address your questions. So just to keep it simple like that. Okay, so after you record the results here, you can go ahead and give it back to the volunteer, your other classmate, to give to the participant in the waiting area. So that other volunteer will find the participant and give them back their form and direct them to the next station. While they're doing that, what you can do is remove the used test strip, and then we're just going to have you throw it away in a trash can next to you. It's not considered biohazard in this case, so we're going to have a regular trash bin there for you to dispose of this. So just throw that away, cap the lid, and you, as always, the thing to remember is to cap this on very tightly. And we're going to have a tray behind you, and it's going to look like this. And then you're just going to keep it stacked on a tray, and it'll be on the floor behind you. And as you process samples, you're going to keep stacking this used samples with the lid screwed on tightly on this tray behind you. Later on, as it begins to pile up, we're going to take turns rotating to take it to the bathroom, and we're going to dispose of the urine in the toilet that way. The last thing is that if there's residue on the test table here, before you receive the next participant, you just take a dry cotton ball like this, and then you just gently wipe off any of the residue. So be sure that when you do that, don't press down too hard or jostle the table, because the machine's pretty sensitive, so if you push the urine test table out of alignment, it may have a hard time receiving it again. So just make sure that you gently wipe it down and not press too hard. Okay, and then just dispose of this. In the case where sometimes you'll see there's too much residue for your liking, you can just take a distilled water that I'll have in a little container like this next to you. Just dab it a little bit, and then I'll show you actually. Just take a dry cotton ball, moisten it a little bit. Don't want it sopping wet, but just dampen it, and then just gently wipe it down in the same way. Okay, throw it away, and then wipe it dry, like that. Some of these cotton balls are a little bit fibrous, and then they may leave some fibers behind, so just make sure you remove that off as well. Okay, whoops. And then tap this. And then you're ready for the next sample.